Hey, how's it going, and welcome to another Fallout New Vegas weekend video. I hope you enjoy your stay. So Fallout New Vegas is of course a game that has a lot of characters. I don't know if you've played it, but there's at least a couple in the game. So of course I had to do a tier list for Fallout New Vegas weekend, and this is basically the best tier maker, like, New Vegas tier list I could find. Obviously the game has, just dozens and dozens and dozens of characters, so putting them all on a tier list like that is a little bit ridiculous. But this one's pretty good. It has a couple of weird inclusions, but pretty much all of the major characters are here. All the faction leaders, companions, people of particular note. But there's quite a few notable characters who just aren't on here. Like, I'm pretty sure I don't see Colonel Shu on here at all. Even though he's like the Camp McCarran character, but it's pretty much the best that I could find. And it's like, this is the most major people are on here. Why is the D spot missing the letter? That's odd. Okay. Alright, so let's start. I guess we'll just do ABC order. Aaron Kimball. Kimball's kind of a shit for brains. Like, I think he is a good, well-written, like, incompetent president kind of character. Even though you never really talk or interact with the guy, you do learn enough about him to kind of be like, yeah, this feels like a guy that would be in office. It's interesting how Caesar actually has an amount of respect for the guy. He just thinks that, like, the structure of the NCR, how wrapped up in red tape it all is, kind of hinders Kimball. So that's just interesting to think about. If Kimball was almost more like a dictator instead of a president, then he might have been a more efficient guy, but as he is, he's kind of a goober, so I'll give him a C. Alice McLafferty is pretty cool. She's kind of like a bitch because of what she does to Cass. But I don't know, I kind of respect the hustle. She's kind of a shitty, skeezy person, but she's not really like so bad that it's like she's just awful. She's a good businesswoman, I don't know. So I will also give her a C. Arcade Ganon. Okay, Arcade is one of my favorite New Vegas companions, and like New Vegas is a game where every one of the companions I pretty thoroughly enjoy. He's just such an interesting guy because of his history with the Enclave and the Followers and his kind of thoughts on the Wasteland and Caesar's Legion. The NCR, he's like a smart guy who never really feels pompous. But he goes through some interesting struggles of like identity and his place in the world. His own history, kind of how he wants the world to turn out. Me and Arcade also kind of look like the same guy. So for that, I will give Arcade an A. He's almost at that S tier, but I think I'm good putting him in A. So here's another character that's like, it's kind of weird that she's on here, but certain other people aren't, but whatever, I guess. So yeah, Beatrix is cool. She's like a ghoul, so she's been around for a while. She's pretty smart. And you can recruit her to become a ghoul prostitute dom for James Garrett. Which also just kind of weird how they're not on here, like the Garrett twins aren't on here. So I don't know, she's cool for what she is. What in the goddamn? Okay, so I really like Benny. Like, especially over the years, I've grown like a real attachment to Benny. Since first of all, he's kind of just a funny character. He has some really funny dialogue that's well written. He has such a distinct design with his fucking checkered suit. And of course, he's the one who starts Fallout New Vegas by fucking sabotaging your platinum chip delivery. But beyond that, his actual objectives and philosophies when it comes to the independence of Vegas are really interesting and cool. Like, he's the one who had Yes Man made, and he has this whole intricate plan to fucking get into the Lucky 38 by burrowing a tunnel. And he makes a fucking charge into Fortification Hill to try to get to whatever Mr. House had underneath that bunker. Even though it's like a suicide mission. But there's just a lot to enjoy and kind of appreciate about Benny as being the sort of like the first major antagonist of New Vegas. So for that reason, I will give Benny an A. The Think Tank. Okay, so I really wish these guys were all part of like, they were all individual, because I could rank them individually, but if you saw my DLC video I put up yesterday, then you'll know that I fucking love the Think Tank and all the different doctors. They are some of the funniest characters in New Vegas, and I feel like they're just some of the funniest video game characters in general. Their writing is so fucking funny, it literally just feels like something taken straight out of Futurama. Like, there's Dr. Klein, who's so pompous and fucking full of himself, and Dr. O, who's probably my favorite with his weird, sarcastic personality. Dr. Boros, who's creating genetically discombobulated meme animals. They're just such a funny bunch, and it's like, I feel like the combination of all of them is what makes it so fucking good, because they really play off of each other really well. And so I think just kind of as a group, I will give them an S tier. They make Old World Blues what it is. This guy's Big Sal. He's the Omerta. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this guy. He's kind of a piece of shit for wanting to fucking gas bomb the strip. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I think I'll give him a C. He's okay, I just don't find him super particularly interesting. His affiliation with the Legion is cool, though. I'll give him a C. Okay, so before I started recording this video, I was kind of taking a look at the characters. And, you know, sometimes it takes a while. There's so many fucking characters in the game, it takes you a while to remember certain people's names. And eventually I was like, okay, that's this guy, that's this guy. But this motherfucker, I sat there for like 30 minutes straight trying to remember who he was. Eventually, I had to triangulate the existence of those, like, trees or bushes or whatever in the background, and I thought, okay, those only grow on the strip, so he's gotta be a strip character. And eventually, I figured out he's Billy, the guy that you recruit in the one top side quest where you find all the different talents. Again, weird inclusion, but whatever, he's kind of a funny guy. I don't know, I think I'll just give him a C for the amount of frustration he caused me trying to remember who he was. Kachino. Kachino is a cool guy, even though he's kind of a piece of shit. I really like the whole, like, Omerta questline in Gamora, because it just feels like one big mob movie. And Kachino's just this rat motherfucker who, even though he's bad, he's not quite as bad as, like, Big Sal or Nero. So, I'll give him a B for that. Oh man, okay. Caesar. Or Kaisar. Caesar is a very interesting character. Like, it feels as if even if you pretty much utterly disagree with the Legion just as a thing, you have to admit Caesar is at least an interesting guy with some interesting philosophies. Who grew up reading all these different books about history and war and whatever else, and then went on an expedition with Joshua Graham and whoever the other guy was. There was some third character, I don't remember his name. And just turned into this fucking monster enslaving people and conquering Arizona and all these tribes. But it's really his personality and philosophies that make him such an interesting character. Because at his very core, he's kind of just like an egomaniac who's the owner of a slave army. But he also has a lot of interesting philosophies about, like, human nature and survival and, like, opposition and the idea that eventually one ideology will overtake another and form something greater out of the combination. But he also just thinks a lot of really weird shit, like he's super opposed to the idea of using robots for fighting, because it makes men weak or whatever. He doesn't allow any drugs or alcohol, which I can understand that one. But it's also just kind of funny seeing the duality of, like, all the other legionaries who are like, Ave, hail to Caesar. The profligates will have their day on the cross. And then you meet Caesar, and he's kind of like, fuck. Take this fucking platinum chip and get out of my face. And also just the Legion's existence as this weird cobbled together of kinda sorta Rome, but not really. But yeah, Caesar, I will give Caesar an A tier, just for being such an interesting character. Ranger Hanlon is the most slowest talking motherfucker I've ever... like, Hanlon needs to drink some Red Bull or something, but Hanlon is really cool, how he has this kind of mythical status in the Mojave and with all the Rangers and the NCR. And he kind of is the guy that beat the Legion in the Battle of Hoover Dam. And everybody kinda knows it, but still people like Oliver and Kimball, they like try to take the credit for it. And pretty much everybody speaks highly of Hanlon. Like, even Ulysses at one point, I think this is after Lonesome Road, you could talk to him and he's like, yeah, Oliver hasn't lived half the life that Hanlon has. You know, even Caesar has a lot of respect for him. He's just like this really badass kind of dude. Who's also very sensible about the fact that trying to hold on to Hoover Dam like they're doing is actually quite literally killing the NCR. It's just he goes about trying to get the boys out of the fucking Mojave in probably the worst way ever by, you know, lying about fucking casualties and stuff and making it seem like the Mojave is just a totally lost cause so everybody will get out. And his questline is pretty interesting, how you go through all these different fucking, like, ranger bases and find out there's all this weird communication going on and it all comes from Hanlon. And it's possible for him to either kill himself or kind of just stay put and give up on this, like, retreating idea. And Hanlon has a lot of interesting different, endings. The endings of New Vegas are so fucking good because there's, like, usually one for each different ending, and then there's different possibilities for shit that happens in the questline, like... For Hanlon, it's obviously he either kills himself or he fucking stops doing what he's doing. And then there's also the multiple layers of, like, Independence or Mr. House or the NCR Victory or Legion. So yeah, Hanlon is a cool but flawed character. And I think that's pretty neat. This guy who's like this legendary figure doing something so kind of bad and maybe stupid. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, it's a sensible idea, like, but maybe don't do it. So for that reason, I will give Hanlon an A. Chris Haversam. This guy is very funny. I think there's a great sort of comedy to the idea of a guy who thinks he's a ghoul but isn't. Like, how the fuck does that even happen? But I don't know, he's just so wholesome in his belief that he is a ghoul and that he's with his ghoul brothers. I want to know how he ended up, like, talking with the ghoul voice like that. Because obviously the ghouls all sound like that because their vocal cords are, like, deteriorating. So did Chris just wake up one day and started, like, going like, oh, I guess I'm a ghoul? Or was it a natural development over time? But yeah, Chris is both a funny and also kind of sad character, but I will give him a B. Christine is very, very interesting. I think Christine stands out as a really good example of writing a character who cannot speak. You know, she gets her vocal cords back towards the end of Dead Money, but there's a pretty solid chunk of the DLC where she just doesn't talk. But she really just has interesting history with Father Elijah and with Veronica. You know, she's a character who's alluded to in the base game because of Veronica talking about her, how they were girlfriends and stuff. And also she just ties in really well with Dead Money's theme of letting go. That's something I forgot to mention in the DLC review video that I kind of wanted to bring up, but the theme of Dead Money being letting go is such a strong theme, and all the different characters in it encapsulate it really well. Like for Christine, it's letting go of the pursuit of Father Elijah. For Dean, it's letting go of kind of the memory of the Sierra Madre and the anger and bitterness that he had towards Sinclair. For Elijah, it's letting go of the past and the technology of the Sierra Madre. And Christine encapsulates that theme very, very well, so I will give her an A. Colonel Moore. I kinda hate this bitch. I don't know, I feel like her in particular is one of the big reasons why I never ever feel like going and doing the NCR route. Just, I don't know, I hate her fucking attitude. You know, I like the characters like Hanlon or like Colonel Shu, who's not on here for some reason. But she just feels like such a typical, like, rank and file, military, suck-up kind of character. I don't know. I just hate taking orders from her. I don't know why. She makes me angry. I kind of want to give her a D. Like, she's not a bad character. She's just somebody that I have a particular dislike of. Yeah, you know what? I will give her a D. Fuck her. 1 for my baby. Alright, Boone. Boone is my favorite New Vegas companion. He may be my favorite character. It's a pretty close tie between a couple of them, but I feel like a lot of people are especially very attached to Boone because he's usually the first companion you get. Sometimes you'll get Cass first, but she's a little bit out of the way. But pretty much everybody stops at Novak, and they go up into the dinosaur, and they usually see Boone, and they do his quest, and I'm one of those people. He was the first companion I got, and so I have a lot of attachment to Boone. And he's just a great character, having to deal with, like, the turmoil of what happened at Bitter Springs, and the fact that he had to fucking kill his wife because she got traded to slavers, and also she was pregnant with a baby. And it's like, man, this guy's had a rough life. But even though he's kind of an asshole, his dialogue is always funny. I especially like seeing him be happy whenever you do some of the, like, stuff that triggers his questline. Like raiding Fortification Hill and killing Caesar. He seems like a pretty happy little guy after you do that. So I don't know, it makes me happy to bring a smile to his face. And even though I've played this game so many times, not once have I ever done the ending of his storyline where you make him vengeful. I just can't bring myself to do it. I want to see him a happy boy who's found peace with himself. He's also just really good. He eliminates things from a very far distance like a good sniper boy should. So I will give Boone an S tier. Dean Domino is another great Dead Money character. I really, really enjoy Dean and kind of like just his personality, how he really feels like this old world showman from Vegas. He's still kind of a fucking pompous prick with an ego problem. And just the lore he has about what actually happened in the Sierra Madre with Sinclair and Vera Keys is really interesting and well written. And also the fact that, like, activating his skill checks are what pisses him off. I find that to be a really interesting and smart game design decision. Because normally you would think, okay, if I want the character to like me, I should make the skill checks and, like, impress him. But he has such a small, easily damaged ego that passing the skill checks and making you seem better than him is what sets him off. And I think that's really clever. But yeah, I like Dean. Even if he is an asshole, I still enjoy the time I spent with him in Dead Money. So I will give him an A. Ambassador Crocker is at least better than Moore. Like, Crocker is the okay part of the NCR questline. You know, he's a lot more friendly, he feels less like he's just a military head, and instead he's, you know, he's just a part of the NCR. And so when Crocker is like, oh yeah, you should go do this thing for the NCR, I'm like, yes, Crocker, I will. And then whenever I get moved over to Moore, I'm just like, man, fuck the NCR, let the bear burn. But Crocker's at least better than Moore. He's still not somebody that I super particularly like, but he's alright, I'll give him a B. How can anybody hate Doc Mitchell? What a sweet man he is. Not really a whole lot to say about him, he's kind of just the character that introduces you to existence, basically, but he's just such a helpful, nice guy that I can't help but like him, so I'll give him an A. Dr. Mobius. Another great Old World Blues character. Dr. Mobius is fucking funny as hell. I like how he always replaces the word reason with raisin. It's just such a weird little quirk of him. But for some reason, you managed to survive. I also like how he's addicted to mentats. That's kind of funny. And just the petty feud he has with the rest of the think tank is really funny, even though it's secretly actually really sad. Because Dr. Mobius rewrote their memory to make them think that the big mountain is all that exists. And so now he's just trying to keep them busy for as long as possible so they don't realize there is in fact more to the world. And yeah, Dr. Mobius is fucking awesome. I will also give him an S right next to the rest of the think tank. Dog and God are interesting. My most recent Dead Money playthrough, I somehow managed to go through the entire thing without talking to Dog once. But I don't know, he's a cool character. The idea of there being like a Nightkin who's one half kind of just a stupid oaf, and then the other half like kind of an evil maniac. I think that's really cool, but yeah, it's just the duality of Dog and God being the same entity at war with each other that's really interesting. How Dog just wants a master to serve and God is like, fuck that. I hate Elijah. So he's cool. He's probably my least favorite of the Dead Money characters, but that's some fucking strong competition. But I'll at least still give him a B, because he is cool. Howdy. Easy Pete? Yeah, Easy Pete's cool. Not really a huge amount to him, but he has some pretty funny dialogue. Seems like a cool guy. I'd have a drink with him, but beyond that, he's alright. He's Easy Pete, man. Eddie. Eddie is cool. Like, the Lonesome Road Eddie definitely has way more of an actual personality than the base game Eddie. But Eddie's still cool. He has really interesting lore about how he's like an Enclave Eyebot who went all the way over to Vegas. His questline is also neat how you have to activate certain, like, Enclave-related keywords to trigger the quest. And also I have a lot of just kind of attachment to Eddie because he's like the first thing that I saw in the New Vegas reveal trailer. And I must have watched that trailer probably close to 50 times before the fucking game came out. So just that image of Eddie floating going down the road before getting shot is it's permanently in my memory. So I will give Eddie a B. Speaking of Eddies, here's another Eddie, Powder Ganger Eddie. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this guy. I've only done the Powder Ganger route, like, once. And that was many, many, many years ago. I don't know, I can never bring myself to kill and, like, harm the wonderful folks of Goodspring to do the Powder Ganger shit. You know, the second I get the option to fight Samuel Cook and his buddies, I'm like, let's kill those fucking Powder Gangers. So I don't really have a whole lot to say about this guy. He's okay. Hardin. Okay, so the Brotherhood of Steel in New Vegas are very, very interesting. Because they're in such a fucked, shitty situation. But Hardin's neat. I've definitely done the route where Hardin replaces McNamara more than, you know, the other way around, just because it's easier. With McNamara, you have to go to, like, all these different vaults and do a bunch of shit. But Hardin's is a lot easier in comparison, so I don't know, I don't really have, like, a particular preference of which one I like or agree with more. I might like McNamara a little bit more, but I think I'll give Hardin a C, and then I'll give McNamara a B. I don't know, I just find McNamara to be a little bit more interesting as a character overall, just kind of his, you know, his regulations for the fucking bunker and the conflict going on in his head of like, oh my god, what do we do with the Brotherhood of Steel? Fantastic. This character is so fucking funny. They asked me if I had a degree in theoretical physics. I told them I had a theoretical degree in physics. Just like, God, of all the people in the whole fucking state of Nevada they could have gotten to work at Helios 1, they pick him. Like, oh god, what's wrong with the fucking NCR, dude? So yeah, just for funny points, I will give Fantastic an A. Father Elijah is awesome. Like, just the combination of the build-up he received in the base game, how, you know, Veronica tells you about how they used to have this elder named Elijah, who was, like, kind of a weirdo, but he was a genius, and then the battle for Helios 1 happened, and he fucking vanished. So it really sets up some good lore about the guy, and then you finally meet him in Dead Money, and he's a really good villain. He has a lot of interesting philosophies and stuff about the NCR and the Brotherhood and nation building. I talk quite a bit about Elijah in the DLC video, so if you want to hear more of my ramblings about him, you can watch that, but he's just a great antagonist. I really, really like Elijah. I think I will actually give him an S. He's one of my favorite villains from the whole game. General Oliver. You don't really see a whole lot of Oliver, you hear a lot about him, but he's kind of similar to Kimball, definitely a very, like, kind of stereotypical military commander kind of guy who's not super particularly competent, but he's a good suck-up, so that's kind of why he's where he's at. Seems like most people don't have a very good opinion of him, just like in the Wasteland. A lot of NCR people are like, yeah, he's a fucking idiot. Caesar doesn't seem to have a huge amount of respect for the guy, and he's kind of more just like a weird, stupid part of the game that is the Mojave Wasteland. But he's alright. I like seeing Yes Man throw him off the dam. So I'll give him a C. Legate Lanius. Lanius is alright. He's definitely no Caesar, and that's kind of the whole point. But Lanius is okay. He kind of works more as just like a force of nature, as like an opponent rather than an actual character in a lot of ways. Because, you know, he's spoken about so much, it's just like, oh man, Lanius, the Beast of the East, or whatever. I don't think he was ever called the Beast of the East. The Monster of the East, that's what it is. The Beast of the East sounds like something an East Coast rapper would call themselves, but Lanius is okay. Definitely not as interesting as Caesar or even the Legate that came before him, but he's okay. I'll give him a B. Mr. House is great. I am, in fact, a Mr. House boy. I am one of those evil monsters. But Mr. House is just great on so many levels. It's just like this old world kind of force who saved the Mojave, essentially. As a character that you can either sit there and be like, oh man, this guy is objectively a villain, or this guy is objectively the only hope for the Wasteland. He's ruthless, but more or less still kind of fair. He definitely has, I would say, the most well-thought-out plan of any of the major kind of faction leaders. He has really good dialogue, and kind of just like, as the face of New Vegas, I think he's a perfect character. So I will give Mr. House an S tier. Rex. Doggy. Rex is cool. I think the idea of, like, cyber dogs is really kind of funny and cool. And just the questline you go on with him of trying to get him a new brain is so weird and so New Vegas that it's perfect. And just what a good boy he is. So, oh man, I want to give him an A kind of, but I don't like him that much. I'll give him a B. Follows Chalk. I like this guy. I think he is a cool companion. I think it's cool just having like a tribal as a companion, because then you can ask you all kinds of questions about civilization and just like differing perspectives on things. He has some pretty funny quotes about different stuff, and he's pretty alright. He's good for what he is. I'll give him a B. Gloria Van Graff. She's kind of a bitch. I don't know, her relationship with, like, Alice McLafferty is pretty interesting, how they're working together to get rid of all the other caravans. And her running just, like, an energy weapon empire is cool. I can't imagine they get a huge amount of business selling, you know, fucking energy weapons on the strip, especially in, like, Freeside. You know, how many fucking plasma cannons and shit do you think they sell on the regular? But who's buying it, even? You know, the NCR doesn't use that shit. The Legion doesn't use it. I doubt the Brotherhood is making too many trips over to Freeside to buy energy weapons. What a mystery, but she's okay. I'll give her a C. Joshua Graham. Pretty much lived up to my expectations. I feel like almost to a fault, Joshua Graham is the best part of Honest Hearts. In fact, he is so good, he's almost like, he's kind of the only great thing about that DLC. But he's just a really interesting character. I really like the idea of somebody going from just this horrible, tyrannical killer man to a fucking Mormon missionary, basically, who also still kicks ass, but now it's done in the name of God. And yeah, his dialogue is really good. I really like the branching path you can take him on of either finding redemption in himself or becoming more vengeful. It's kind of like Boone in that sense, but yeah, he's a really good character. Pretty much lived up to my expectations of him, so I will give him an A. Jason Bright is, he's alright. His fucking accumulation of ghouls trying to get on rockets to go to, what did he call it, the Far Land? Or is that the place from Minecraft? The Great Beyond. No, the Far Beyond. What the fuck was it called? The Far Beyond, yes. But yeah, Jason's okay. I'll give him a C. Jean-Baptiste, kind of similar to Gloria. He's kind of just a fucking asshole. I'll give him a C. Jeannie May, this fucking horrible bitch. D tier, definitely. What's wrong with you? Selling Boone's wife and unborn baby to the Legion? That's fucked up. Johnson Nash, this guy's okay. It's kind of just there to give you some background information on, like, the courier thing that happened. He talks a little bit about Ulysses, although he doesn't name him. So he's one of your first, like, hints towards the existence of Ulysses, but yeah, he's fine. I'll give him a C. Julie Farkas is cool. Her hair is interesting. I don't know, Julie's just such a good-natured, helpful person. It's kind of hard to hate her. I'll give her a B. Jimmy. Little Jimmy. I like Lily. I think she's interesting. She's probably my least favorite of the companions, though, but I still do like her. I don't know, she never really clicked with me the same way that some of the other ones do. I think it's probably because she's one of the last companions that you usually end up getting. Jacobstown is all the way the fuck up top to the northwest of Vegas, and that's usually not a place you go to until, like, pretty much the end. You know, obviously you can do whatever you want. If you want to start the game and immediately go up there, then that's up to you, but throughout the natural course of playing, Lily's probably not the first companion you get. But she's cool, just from the nature of her being a nightkin who's losing all her memories. I think that's pretty interesting. How she used to be a grandma and she was abducted from a vault because of the Master's shit and turned into a super mutant. That's all pretty cool, but otherwise, I don't know, she doesn't quite do it for me, but I'll give her a B. She's still cool. The Lonesome Drifter is cool. I don't think I actually saw this guy on my most recent playthrough. But yeah, he's cool. He has an interesting little story going on about how he might be the son of the mysterious stranger, and he has his fucking revolver. He's just kind of a cool little weird random character. So I'll give him a B. Manny Vargas is also okay. He's definitely not as interesting as Boone, but he's alright. I don't really have a whole lot to say about him. I'll give him a C. Yo, Marcus! So Marcus is really cool. He's a character from Fallout 2, which I have not finished because I'm fake. But he's just a cool character. Is he the only character from, like, Fallout 2 that appears in New Vegas? I'm pretty positive he is, because he's a super mutant. Like, nobody else could really survive that long. But yeah, it's just nice to see a Fallout 2 character in Fallout New Vegas. And his position as the leader of pretty much the only super mutant, like, area other than Black Mountain is pretty cool. And he has some interesting quotes. He's a pretty wise sort of guy. I like the part where, it's the shit that's going on between all the different Nightkin, and you ask him, can't you just, like, talk them out of it? And he goes, yeah, that's kind of like saying Caesar and Kimball should just talk it out. It's like, damn, you got a good point there. I was racist against super mutants for a second. But yeah, Marcus is cool. I will give him an A. Mortimer, you little cannibal fuck. I don't know, whenever I see this guy, I have the temptation to just instantly kill him. This stupid fucking hat. Oh, I hate the White Glove Society. Those weird motherfuckers. I will give him a D. What a shitter. Motor Runner. I wish the rest of the Fiends were on here, you know, like Violet, Cook, Driver Neffy. Those guys are really funny characters, but Motor Runner's alright. I like his doggies. That's about the extent of it. Yeah, I'll give him a C. Nero. This is the other half of the Omerta duo with, Big Sal. Yeah, he's fine. Fucking trying to gas the strip. Not cool, dude. No Bark Nonin. Oh, fuck. This guy is great. You can make a lot of fucking caps playing this guy in Caravan. For whatever reason, he just has a lot of money. Yeah, his dialogue is really good. What a great, crazy motherfucker he is, but a lot of what he says is actually, like, kind of correct. You know, in a roundabout way, he is the one who tells you that, like, Jeannie May was talking to some people before Boone's wife went missing. So yeah, I'll give him a B. You guys take vitamins? Forgot to take my one-a-day men's vitamins, because I'm a man. That's right. Salt Upon Wounds is fine. I definitely feel as if, like, for all of the DLC villains, he's definitely the weakest. It's kind of more just a force of nature. He's sort of like a very, very, very lesser version of Legate Lanius. So I'll give him a C. He's okay. Heiser. Base is fine. He's kind of an asshole, but he's not too bad. He just has the best intentions for, like, Freeside and the Kings in mind. That unfortunately causes him to clash with NCR, but I don't really mind Pace. I don't hate him. I don't really like him too much. He's kind of just there. Papa Khan. I don't think it's controversial to say that the Great Khans don't need to exist, like, at all. Like, they don't really provide anything except drugs. I mean, where would the Mojave be without fucking Jet and Psycho? I mean, I don't know, he's an alright character, but it's just like, man. Yes Man is right when he calls the Great Khans a dirty people. Does anybody in the fucking entire Mojave like the Khans? The NCR obviously doesn't. The Legion is looking to just take them over. Fucking nobody likes the Khans. Yeah, I don't know, Papa Khan is alright. He's kind of an interesting character, but I'll give him a C. Pearl is cool. The fact that their faction is called the Boomers is, like, retroactively hilarious now, but yeah, she's a pretty cool character. I like the Boomers just as a group. These fucking crazy people with all this artillery and shit just off into the distance of the Mojave. And she's just a sweet old lady. I don't know, I like the Boomers as a faction a lot, so I'll give Pearl a B. This guy is Philip. He's one of the Powder Gangers. Again, it's been so long since the last time I did, like, the Powder Ganger route, basically. I remember Philip was more kind of like the beta member of the Powder Ganger, like the vault. Oh, fuck, which vault was it? I don't remember, but he's, I think it was 19? I might be wrong, but yeah, he's more of the kind of cucky one of the Powder Gangers. He's the one who's like, oh, we're in over our heads. I don't know if we should do this. And then Samuel's the one who's like, yeah, fuck the NCR. But they're both okay. It's just been so long since I've, like, really dealt with them that I don't really remember a whole lot about them, but I remember them being okay. Raul is really cool. Raul is a really cool character. He has a lot going for him. First of all, just the fact that he's a ghoul and he's been around since before the war is always interesting. That's just such an uncommon thing to see, is characters who were around before the war and can kind of talk about society before it. All his stories about his adventures in, you know, the post-apocalypse are interesting. How he used to be this fucking gunslinger who would go around dishing out justice. Like, oh man, it's really cool. And now he does repairs and stuff. And similar to me, he's an old motherfucker. I think me and Raul are about the same age. So he's having to deal with, you know, slowing down, not being as good as he once was. His quest line is pretty interesting. Not one of my favorite companions, but I do like him a lot, so I'll give him an A. Red Lucy. This is the girl that lives in the Thorn. She's alright. The fact that there's a fucking, like, creature fighting ring just underneath Vegas is pretty cool. The C tier is getting quite full up, but I don't really have a lot to say about her. Cass, on the other hand, is fucking awesome. I really like Cass. I like how foul-mouthed she is. She's just really cool. Pretty bad bitch, you know? I wouldn't want to fuck around with Cass. And she just has some really funny dialogue. She's really cool, down-to-earth kind of character. And she has an interesting story going on with, you know, the Crimson Caravan and the Van Grass working together to get rid of all the other caravans and buy them out. So Cass, I will give her an A. Fallout New Vegas has so many good companions. Sarah, this is the lady that works at Vault 21. She's fine. I don't know, she's kind of funny, just how, like, weirdly into fucking vault suit she is. Yeah, she's another alright for the C tier. Sunny Smiles is pretty cool. I kinda wish you could've gotten her as a companion. I think that would've been neat. But yeah, she's fine. Pretty good, like, introductory kind of character. She's basically the game's tutorial. But yeah, she's nice. Another Good Springs resident. I'll give her a B. Tabitha. Tabitha is fucking crazy and very entertaining. The whole Black Mountain questline is just so fucking weird. How she hijacks the radio station and she has this robot friend named Rhonda. She wears the fucking wig and the glasses, like, just very strange character, but also pretty funny and memorable. Yeah, I'll give her a B. The King. Okay, so I want to start by saying I think the idea that they would have a school dedicated to impersonating Elvis and none of them would know his name is one of the stupidest fucking things I have ever seen, and it's really funny. But yeah, the King is a really cool guy. I really like him as kind of the face of Freeside, as being sort of the character to represent that part of Vegas. So I will give the King an A tier. Trudy. Trudy's okay. I don't know. There's not a whole lot to say about her. She's nice. She's, I'll give her a B. Ulysses. Okay, this is another character I talked a lot more about in the previous video, but I will still say that the build-up that Ulysses had just across the base game and all the different DLC was amazing. He's one of the most well-built-up, slow-burn kind of characters, and I feel like now that all of the DLC is just available, a part of that is kind of lost for, like, new players who never got to experience the world, like, pre-Ulysses being in Lonesome Road. Because we were only ever fed these little nuggets of information about him every couple months whenever a new DLC would come out, but he's still cool. I really like his voice especially, and some of his philosophies about certain things are interesting, but a lot of it comes off as more just kind of like random philosophical prattling about random things rather than like anything particularly meaningful. But I still think he's really cool, so for that I'll give him an A. Veronica, alright, another excellent fucking companion in New Vegas. Veronica, I would say, is my second favorite behind Boone. But yeah, she's just really cool. She has a really interesting history because she's in the Brotherhood of Steel, and like Elijah was her mentor. And she was dating Christine, and she's kind of fed up with the way the Brotherhood is, but still loves them because that's her family. Her quest line is really good. She has a nice sense of humor, and she's down to earth, and she's just a really great character. So I will definitely give her an S. Howdy, partner. Victor is okay. I guess it's safe to say he's the second most prominent, like, Mr. House-affiliated character. Mr. House is kind of like this weird paradox where even though he is kind of the boss of Vegas, the only characters that are, like, super particularly dedicated to him are his own fucking Securitrons. You know, every other character is more associated with individual casinos or, like, the Strip or whatever it may be. But there's really not hardly any just Mr. House characters. But Victor's alright, he's a pretty memorable bot for what he is. So I'll give him a B. Vulpes. So I really like Vulpes. I think he's probably my favorite Legion character. Him and Caesar are pretty close, but I will always stand by my belief that if instead of Lanius, Vulpes kind of inherited the Legion, they would be, like, fine. Maybe not good or great, but they would be fine. Because what I don't think that, like, maybe even Caesar realizes about his own Legion is that the direct assault kind of overwhelming them with power kind of strategy isn't really what they're that great at. You know, Vulpes has caused way more problems for the NCR just through subterfuge, through, you know, attacking random cities, implanting spies in the NCR, and just causing problems. So I feel like if they said, alright, Lanius, you're a little bit too much of a bull, you know, literally. And then just put Vulpes in charge, the Legion might honestly be a more dangerous threat. But yeah, he just leaves such a strong impression, because he's usually the first, like, Legion character you really meet over Nipton. And he's just such a good little Frumentari. What a good boy. I'll put him in A tier. Waking Cloud. I think that's her name. Yeah, Waking Cloud is pretty okay. I don't like her as much as, Follows Chalk, but she's alright. I think you have to make an interesting decision with her about whether or not you tell her that, you know, her husband is dead. I think that's kind of neat, but otherwise, she's okay. I'll give her a B. And then we have Yes Man, who I would say is my favorite New Vegas character. I think he has the funniest fucking dialogue of any character in this game, even though the think tank is close. I just think Yes Man's writing is so clever, and it does such a great job portraying a character that's kind of like forced to be happy. And I just have such an attachment to Yes Man because he was the first route that I went through when I first played the game, and to this day, the independent route is still my favorite. Just because of the amount of freedom it provides, you can kind of do whatever you want. And he just has so many good fucking quotes. I especially like the stuff he says about, like, particular groups he doesn't like. Like, he calls the Great Khans a dirty people. And if for whatever stupid-ass reason you decide to blow up the Securitron army, he's so, like, audibly upset but can't say it. He's just like, wow, that's great, because that will just make our job more challenging. It's kind of just a happy coincidence that in ABC order, Yes Man is the last character, but yeah, S tier for sure. He is my favorite New Vegas character. So yeah, that is the list. I'd say I'm pretty happy with how it is. There's maybe a couple characters in, like, B and C that could swap places, but all in all, I would say that I like this list a lot. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Tomorrow is going to be my Memories of New Vegas video, so tune into that if you care. And I'll see you guys next time.